Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML, Year of Virtual Learning. And if you're new here, hello. And if you're coming back, hello again and welcome back. And hope to see you coming back for the next one as well. So today we're on book 120 and we want to talk about Bird by Bird. So Chris, take it away.
Yeah, this one's a fun little book. Either one of you ever read Bird by Bird?
No, I
I
thought it
have
was like
not.
No. That's the book name. It's called Bird by Bird, and it's the subtitle is Some Instructions on Writing and Life by the author Anne Lamott. So this is a book about Anne's. She's a writer and she teaches like a writing class. She writes a lot of books, and this is kind of her. I don't know. Like when somebody gives like life instructions about how they create the art they create, and what writing means to them, and this is a really cool book. I mean, I enjoyed it. It felt like I was in the front row of her class that she teaches, and she talking about how she writes and what's important in writing, what's not important in writing. And actually, the funny thing is the book is called Bird by Bird because it was a fun story from when she was a young kid. Her dad was actually a professional writer as well. He wrote like novels and stuff. And her little brother, when she was like 10 years old or something like that, and he was like, I don't know, 12 or whatever. I don't know exactly the age. He had some project that he had to do in school for like a bird project that he was supposed to like document a certain bird, write up a little write up about it. And he was supposed to be doing it the entire semester, and he didn't do any of it.
An insect collection in biology.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
in sixth grade.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, we were supposed to do.
You're
all the
supposed to go
etymology.
find insects, and then you don't do it till the last day. So,
You got to pen them all and do all the etymology.
yes.
Yeah. So similar to that, her brother waited until the last like second to do this whole entire thing, and he was sitting at the kitchen table, and he was like really frustrated, and his dad or their dad stopped him, and
Was
dad, I
crying,
have no
right?
idea. Is that
He was crying.
yeah, he was like crying. He was like, Dad, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna get this done. And he was like, listen, buddy, just take it bird by bird, man. Just one at a time, and you'll find your way through, right? So Bird by Bird is like a story. The reason why the title is called Bird by Bird is to say like, hey, just focus on the next step. Don't worry about like the mountain. Don't worry about all the other stuff, right? It's a great philosophy just so, get stuck in your mind. It definitely is always stuck in my mind whenever I think of something. Drew and I, say to each other constantly, bird by bird, man.
Bird by bird. That's what we're doing. Bird by bird.
Right, exactly. So like this every night, this bird by bird, right?
Bird by bird.
So that's not my reflection for the night, but that's what the book's about, I guess. Ironically, the reflection title of this one is "If you bring forth what's inside of you, what you bring forth will save you." So I kind of already covered the first half of my reflection by doing this stuff, but the one thing I wanted to touch on at the beginning of my reflection that I didn't talk about was, this whole journey is one of the things that I've noticed that I love the most about books in general is you get this like concentrated time with an author that you cannot talk. Like you just have to listen to their words and listen to their story and listen to their message, and you can't rebut. Like, you can't, there's no dialogue. There's no conversation to be had. It is literally, I'm going to download everything in my head and into your head, and you have to just sit there and shut up and listen. Like, there is no one to talk to about it. There is no one to, like, I mean, and as you guys know me well, like, talking is one of my things that I love to do.
Your strengths and you
right. Yeah, exactly. It's certainly not something that I would say I'm an expert at shutting up and listening, and books have been a great way for me to shut up and listen, and it's been pretty powerful when you just shut your mouth, sometimes, right? So, but as I was moving on, explain a little bit more about the bird by bird philosophy, but that would be an easier reflection to write about with this whole entire one. I'm not going to take the easy road out, because clearly, if you guys have been following along with this journey, anybody that's listening to this thing, I know True understands Snow. Developing habits bird by bird is not a problem for me these days. That's something that I think I'm pretty north of that. However, one of the things that she talked about in the book was actually a quote by Jesus, of all people, a quote from Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas, where he said to somebody, if you bring forth what's inside of you, what you bring forth will save you. If you don't bring forth what's inside of you, what you don't bring forth will destroy you. And for whatever weird reason, that quote just stuck in my head, and it made me almost start to cry, honestly, because it just flashed like the whole entire past 3 years of my life in front of me, and thinking this whole journey with writing, with reflection, with going through what we went through with my family, going through what losing a child, being in the NICU for 92 days with another child, everything else that we've gone through as a family. And to think if all that was still sitting inside of me without writing every single day, without bringing that forth into this world, not only do I love the purpose and mission that I'm on with my daughter every single day through writing, and it was discovered through writing, I honestly shudder to think what would happen if I didn't bring that forth into this world at this point in time. I don't even know. There's probably 500 million other life paths that I could be on right now that I'm sure I will not be as happy as I am talking to you guys right now about a book called Bird by Bird and a reflection that I wrote talking about my purpose in life with my daughter. It's crazy, you know, how much power there is in bringing forth what's inside of you and sharing it with the world. And then also on the flip side of it, you know, what happens if you don't? So that quote just immensely resonated with me, especially understanding my own journey and the power that writing has had in my life, and something I wanted to share with everybody in this journey. And that's what I think of when I think of Bird by Bird. Love to get your guys' thoughts. You know, what's stopping you from bringing forth what's inside of you and to share with the world. Love to get your guys' thoughts on whatever you want to talk about. Bird by Bird, the quote, you know, whatever. I'll pause there.
I like the saying bird by bird, and obviously it makes me think of the quote that, you know, I think I even told you guys before, like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
And yeah, there's like a lot that can seem overwhelming in our lives, but it is just like, that's just anxiety, and anxiety is always going to come up. That's not the present. That's not the moment right now. That's like some forethought about the future. And it really isn't serving you in the moment, you know, getting anxious about something. All you can do, like you guys say, is just focus on the moment, you know, do what you have to do and go forth from there. Because also, like, things might seem easier actually in the future. So there's no point in getting stressed about it. But yet also do, like, that anxiety can be good, because maybe it can bring about some forethought and like help you like think things through. But maybe that's like different than anxiety. And but it's interesting how you ended up, you know, kind of taking this to the question, because I don't know if this really question was really, well, I guess you did talk about it in the book, obviously, but what's stopping you from bringing forth what's inside of you to share with the world is, gosh, even right now, I mean, a lot of people do love to talk. Let's be honest, and getting things out is important. But from the last book I read, I just really got present to what should take place in meetings. And meetings should not be a place for individuals leading those meetings just to say what's on their mind and spout their feelings. Yeah, like in terms of workplace efficiency, meetings need to be about gaining consensus. And that's sort of like what this author from Indistractable is talking about. You know, maybe even that as I talk or as we talk, and kind of like educating and breathing life into those around us, in a way we are trying to gain consensus about what is an appropriate way to look at things. There was a really neat professional development exercise that we did on Friday at school, was about, and it had roots in indigenous cultures, about north, south, east, and west, and the different values that one person ends up having. And I think it actually ends up being all like chemical balances in your brain. Like, I'm someone who's very east oriented. I'm a visionary. I think about the future a lot. I'm always thinking about possibilities. I'm not someone who's like from the West, who's always like methodical, thinking about what can go wrong, really slow to change. And then there's other ones for North and South. And anyway, it was really fascinating. But in a sense of like, a meeting should be about like, or a good committee is made up of people with different values. So like you can actually have more jaya or more wisdom, which we all kind of grow in general from our own experiences, whether we end up having friends who's different than us or our spouse or somebody, because also like your own self can get you into trouble too, like if you're constantly one way. So sometimes we need some balance there. But so anyway, and I think of in terms of like bird by bird, to me, you know, what this comes back to is how like most Mondays I try to be here, and I used to get distracted by trying to read like multiple books here and there, but like these days I just like focus on one book at a time, like bird by bird, and I get a lot more value out of that and actually like complete things like bird by bird rather than going, you know, chew on one bird at a time. Or even with this project that I have going on right here, this little outdoor sink in my house. There's other projects I could be doing around the house, but like I want to focus on one project until it's complete to my satisfaction, and then I'll go on to something else. And I think this past year, 2 years, I've learned like take one thing, finish it, and then move on. And that's what works for me, because I can get very distracted in terms of, oh, I'll start that and then go on to do something else. But I've learned to sort of restrain myself and bring my attention back towards what I'm working on. And you end up enjoying it anyway. It's just the inertia about getting back into that project. If anything, this is just the title and you guys talking about it just makes me think about, you know, like working on one project at a time and then going on to the next thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Actually, true and there's a reason why this is what we do now, to along those lines, right? Like we could be boiling the ocean with 500 other things we wanted to try to do. We talk about a lot, but this is the priority. This is the bird right now. This is an important step. When we're done with this, who knows what we can do with all this content and how it can weave into all the other things that we want to do. But let's finish what we started and keep going bird by bird through this whole entire thing. And it'll probably take us a year, I mean, it'll probably another year from today before True and I even finish all these videos. I know for sure I probably won't be done writing until, June or something like that of next year.
Will this ever stop though? Because don't you? Well, eventually it will, because you don't read one book a day. So eventually it'll like almost be a pause while you like complete a book.
I'm at 257 or something like that today, and I'm now officially just writing what I finish. So I finish like 2 to 3 books a week. So something like 8 to 10 a month or something like that ish. And so it'll be like 10 reflections. Well, I might write multiple reflections on a few of them. That's becoming more common these days.
Still, you listen to books. Do you read one or you just listen to them?
I do both. 10-15%, reading and 85% audio. But yeah, I mean, I still do both.
Do you find you like one more than the other?
Yeah, I love audiobooks. I really don't really like reading books. I mean, there's multiple reasons why for me. I have like my back hurts a lot. Like I'm standing up right now. Like I stand up at my desk all day long and I work out hard. Like in my whole life, like I've just had back pain. So when I have to sit there in a chair, like I hate it. I hate sitting in a chair. It makes my back get really stiff. So whenever I'm reading a book, like it's like torture to me. Like I just feel like my back starts to hurt. I get a headache.
I actually stand and read.
That's when I do read a regular book. I do stand and read. I mean, I stand and write. I stand when I do everything. I don't like to sit down, and read a book. So
it's actually good for you.
What's that?
They say sitting isn't that good for you.
No, it's not. And actually, I found it really easy to focus. I found it easier to focus when I'm listening to an audiobook and just taking like a casual walk or something like that,
Yep.
Like I'm not trying to push myself too hard or anything like that, but just walking. But yeah, so for me personally, I'm an auditory learner in general. I like that functionality. Other people can't do that. The whole point is to learn. One thing you said I wanted to comment on was you said a lot of people have a form to talk these days. This is what I was kind of bringing up in the second half of my reflection was about the power of writing. The thing with writing is you could sit here and talk all day long about your feelings and your thoughts. Writing makes you like funnel it into one idea or one thing that you have to spend more time with to really be impeccable with your words, right? To get it to come across so somebody else can read it and understand what you were trying to say. Like for that to happen, you have to be super crystallized and clear in your own head. And then it takes time to develop that over time. So that's why like this book was powerful to me, because it's like everybody can talk, but like, can you sit down and can you filter your thoughts? I don't care if you do it through writing or through some other form through meditation, but however you have to do that before you go speak to somebody else, like there's power for that. And then like it's immensely powerful for me because it helps me to figure out my own thoughts first before I'm talking to somebody else, right? So that's kind of what I was hoping to share through this reflection was like, don't let that shit sit inside of you. Like you can go and talk all day long and purge yourself, like you're, like just let it out, like that's what we do for like, why are you yelling, right? Irrational yelling, just pick a topic and go let loose or whatever. But when you really want to dig deep into you, I mean, you got to really spend time with your thoughts and write that stuff out. True. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah. So I think for me, I have many different thoughts that when you guys were talking. So I'm going to take it bird by bird. It's a great quote. It is 8. And I think, one of the things that I really agree when Snow said, it makes what you do more enjoyable just because you only focus on that particular one thing. For a lot of time, you have too many things, you get scatterbrained. And when you scatterbrained, it's like, I'm doing it, but I'm not paying attention. I'm not there. I'm not present. I have the molecule of more versus the molecule of now. So when you have the molecule of more, you're living in a future. So your brains are not enjoying what you are doing. So you're not even aware of the presence. And a lot of times it seems like you're just going through the motion for whatever you're doing at that moment. And so a lot of people have that issue with, and so when you're bombarded with a lot of things to do, even like the things that we do every day, it becomes stressful. And when you get stressful, it compounds into a lot of different things. You get mental illness and diseases and health issues physically and mentally and spiritually. And so for me, that's the only way I'm able to get through the days. Right now, like whatever I do is bird by bird. I don't really look at the end point. I don't look at when we're going to finish. So talking about the podcast we're doing right now we're doing every day. But whenever we get to the point where we catch up with all the books that Chris has done, we're just going to take it at the cadence that we're able to continue. And it's not about say, I'm going to go to 365 and I'll stop. I have never even considered, it never had even like into my mind that we're going to stop. And to me, because I don't worry about that, all those things in the future, I'm able to enjoy the conversation where I have with Chris or not. I was able to enjoy the conversation I have with you, and also learning about the different lessons and concepts that I can utilize to kind of make my life a little bit more enjoyable. I mean, have more fun. I mean, what's the point of life if you're not living? And so for me, this bird by bird, it's something that to me it's very fundamental. It's like, do the next right thing, enjoy what you do. And in company, we're talking about, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. You want to get to the point where you enjoy the journey so much that you don't want it to end. Because if you think about it, what's your favorite day? Is it a Monday or is it Friday? If you're talking about Friday, right, for example, that means that you don't like your week because you want it to end. But if you love the time you have, Monday would be the favorite day. Just imagine you have a life when you're younger. You want to be young, or you want to be when you're about to die, right? It's the same. It's the same analogy. Is if you really like the journey, the destination, you want to last longer. You don't want to think about it, and so you want to be present. So more present in what you're doing, and be able to take in other things that's around you versus I'm going through the motions of doing this, doing that. A lot of people go through the motions at work, say, "Hey, I'm just here," but their minds is off somewhere else. I'm off in the golf course. I'm off at a poker table or wherever. I can't wait till Friday. I can't wait till the weekend. And so when you do that, right, you're living in a future that may never come. And most future don't come because they don't come exactly as you had imagined it. And a lot of people just live in that matrix of sort. And for me, this concept helps me realize that in order for me to be living, quote unquote, living, not, life is meant to be lived. You want to live your life as until you die, not having a living death, meaning you're alive, but you're not even. So that's the point. You live life or life will live you.
Trying to get him to write his own book of truisms, like
Truism, yes,
aphorisms by True. We'll call them truisms.
Yes. So you don't live life will live you, and that's one of the one that I like. And so for me, it's like I use this concept every day in my life. You ask me, what I did 3 days ago, I don't remember. I just say I can do today. I remember like 90% of what I can do today. And you ask me, how does it feel? I feel great. I feel great most of the time. There's gonna be time when I'm not great, but most of the time I feel great. And if you ask me what's so great about it, it's a typical day. It's a perfect day, like Tuesday with Maury, right? Right, Chris? Right? To me, a perfect day is an ordinary day. A day where not too many things happen. I have time with the people I love. I get to spend the minutes with my family, my friends, and talk about whatever I want to talk about. Do whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it. To me, that's a perfect day. It's not about, oh, I'm going to this island with this, pristine water, and this and that. It's not about any of that. I mean, I've been there.
But if that comes, that's okay too.
it comes, but I think you think about it, if you think about, if you have to spend that same day over and over, let's say you have a time glitch and you have to spend the same day over and over there, which day would you pick? And to me, if you think about, hey, I'm going to be on a vacation or whatever, it's not ideal. I mean, I've been like a few weeks ago in the beginning of August, I went to Destin, right? It's a great place. It's a wonderful place, but I'm still not feeling myself. I don't feel as at peace. I feel good, but there is still the not in my element kind of feeling. And so for me, it's the places where I feel most comfortable and most anchored is where my home is. And so, yeah, your home could change and it could be that destination or whatever. But you think about it, it's going to become your daily, and every day is an ordinary day. See, I live here. This is what I do every day. And if you think about it, if you can take that day and say, this day, I want more of it rather than less. Because you think about how long you want to live. You want to live until you're 50 I want to live until 100. Well, a lot of people will say, hey, I want to live longer than 50. So if you think about it, your time is going to fill with those ordinary days. So those ordinary days are the day you need to craft and to mold into the days that you want, the journey that you want. Versus, I finished and I'm counting days until finish. And, that's why a lot of these episodes we do is not, we don't count them. We just say, hey, what book we on? Right. And
I get really excited each night when I figure out what book we're on, because it's almost like a game for me. I'm like, oh, bird by bird, because like it's I really don't know what we're gonna be doing every night until like 5 minutes before this, and I'm like scrolling up to the blog, and I'm like, oh, hey, I love this one. Let's talk. It is kind of fun, because I don't really know. I mean, it's
and a lot of times it's a surprise,
random.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
And that, like I said, that's why for me is I have more fun with the things I do, that a lot of people may say, hey, that's just ordinary. Why are you happy? Why are you fun? But for me, it's fun because I spend my energy focusing on the things I can do and taking one step at a time without worrying about the future, without worrying about a lot of stuff. Yes, you still want to be prudent, not being like wishful thinking and doing, stupid things and whatnot. But, I'm just saying, there is a moderation, that balance to what you do, and you can take this concept and, apply it. And I think it's going to give you the boost and the leverage to be able to live life in a more enjoyable level than you would have before. But I also like the reflection that you did, Chris, about if you bring forth what is inside you, what you bring forth will save you. And I think that's really relevant to what you're going through with your atomic bomb. I think what you did is what saved you, because if you don't, misery could have consumed you and taken you down the path of darkness.
Yeah, but I think that's for everybody.
It's for everybody.
Right. I think everybody has a purpose in them, and if it just sits inside of them and they never share it with the world, because it's about service, right? Service, doing your purpose to help serve other people, right? Like, not necessarily you do your purpose for yourself, but your purpose helps to serve other people. And I feel like that just sits inside of you, and you know that you're capable. It was what I was telling you guys about this morning, right before we jumped on this call, of like, I'm in this weird transition with jobs, and I'm like, I feel like what's inside of me is not being brought out, all day long right now. And it feels like it's destroying me, because it's like it just sucks knowing that there's so much more that you could do for this world. And, if we don't have any outlet to get it out, like it sucks, Yeah. I think it's important for everybody. Everybody's got a purpose in them.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't take out the purpose, then that purpose will, kind of eat you from inside out. It's feeling right now because you have the talent and the ability, and you're not using it. It bugs you. It irks you,
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have the talent, it wouldn't bother you that much.
Yeah. I forget if I talked about it before. It just makes me think about, the Buddha said life is suffering. And there's a lot about human behavior that says that our actions are driven to go away from pain. So whether there's that pain of what's bottling up inside of you, you feel like you have the sense of purpose and you want to get it out. So it's like almost like this escape from pain, if we're actually really honest with ourselves. And sometimes it's good just to even, notice that and be mindful of that. But one thing I think, Tria, as you were talking, it made me think about, I wonder though if there's a trajectory about when you're younger compared to like when you get older, as you are able just to become more cognizant of the present and grateful about the present moment, and not be, or maybe we just end up realizing that like the present is so precious and amazing. So whether you're seeing your kids run around or just, talking with friends, there's so much greatness and fulfillment in that compared to like, oh, I can't wait about this next thing I'm going to do. And oh, that trip is going to be awesome. And this, in the future is going to be awesome. So, I wonder if that's a thing that can be taught, or if actually that's just a thing of trial and error.
I think it's trial and error, but it's a training of sort. You have to train it just like water going down the mountain, right?
Yeah.
And the path that it takes, right? But the path that it takes, it will create a rut, right? So that means the next drop of water will actually follow the other one. So you could actually train yourself to become more present, because if you're aware of it and you continue to remind yourself that you need to be aware of being present, then you are training yourself. Yes, it's going to be trial and error for you to figure it out what path you need to take. But once you take that path, the next time around will be easier than before.
I usually meditate 20 minutes every day, maybe 5-6 days a week. Just even that, like bringing my attention back has helped me in other areas of my life, just like maintain my focus, whether it's just enjoying the presence or enjoying a walk. Just meditating itself, I just really enjoy as well.
I mean, I think there's some serious power in that. I don't know that honestly, like this is one of those times when it's like I would need to go write for like an hour to figure out exactly how I wanted to comment back on your comment, because like I could sit here and talk, about my thoughts on meditation and can it be taught, can it not, how does somebody learn, how does somebody not learn. There's so many nuances to that question to unpack these days. In my past life, Chris, I would have just been like, I don't know, I'll throw something out there and we'll call it good. But like, now I try to remember the lesson, the bird by bird lesson of be impeccable with your words, right? So I don't want to comment on that one yet because I don't know the answer, and I'm more curious just to listen to what you guys have to say. So, but for me, that's being way more mindful of the situation these days versus just starting to spout off an answer, right? Yeah.
Right, and that's the thing. We are always doing reinforcement, trial and errors, because everything you do is by random, and then by chance you repeat it, and it basically adds it. Just like we're talking about bird by bird, step by step. All these things are the same concept, just being repeated in different wording, right? And because of that, we are more inclined to drift toward that concept, that lessons, than before. Because if you listen to one, the next one, it becomes a stronger bond. And so just like Chris is doing, he'd be mindful and listens more because he has the talent of he can speak all day without stopping. I know him that much that he can do that, but it's his strength, right? But his strength is his weakness, because when you are a cheetah, you can't be a sloth. It's just not possible. It's impossible for you to be a sloth. And like it's one of those things where it takes great effort for Chris to be mindful and listen before he starts spouting out, his hundreds of different reasoning why this will happen or that won't happen or whatever the case. And so because of the repetitions that he has seen and the result and the outcome that shows him, their benefits to him, that basically reinforces the learning and the concept and the practice that he put into. So the stronger he's able to control that mindfulness. And so to me, based on that evidence alone, a lot of what we do is training. Just for example, for me, is I have never trained to read books. I just can't do it. I can read technical, I can read like charts and data and numbers. I can read code, but I can't read text. It's just because I wasn't trained for it. It isn't because I can't process a logic. I just found out that I love the logic because I told Chris this before. In my younger days, like from young youth into high school and even to college, I read one book in its entirety, one book in my entire life into college, one book. It's because back then I have to read, and my eyes, when I move my eyes when I'm reading, I get tired and I would stop, and I got like whatever reason condition myself to fall asleep. And so that becomes my obstacle. But now that we have Audible, I mean, when I read book at 2x, right? When I listen to books at 2x. And to me, it seems normal, and I can process all the logical information that's in that book. And so for me, it's that obstacle of the input into my head. I wasn't being trained for it. And so that causes me not to read books. But now that because of the Audible and the AI, even all the books that is in text, like the old books, I just use AI to read them to me. And I can just listen at 2x and I can process it. So for me, it's like the training of the input that I don't have. And so everything has to come down to training. The more you do it, the stronger you can be, you can control that particular feature.
Yeah. Guys, I got 9:15 my cutoff for bedtime.
Well, thanks for joining us, Snow. I had one more final thought if you want to stick around for it, but if you want to jump, go for it.
I'll stick around for it.
The final thing I wanted to add with this whole conversation is this journey itself. One of the things I've been, I actually was just thinking about this today. Like the books that I don't like the most are ones that just dump a ton of facts on you all at once. And then my head feels like it's swimming. I can't keep up with it. When you just take a lot of knowledge and dump it into a book, and then you're like, hey, I learned all these different things, and here's me summarizing all the things that I've learned in one big dump. Like, basically it's impossible for me to learn. However, this journey, a lot of ways, is bird by bird. every single day we're summing up a book into a lesson or something that's been internalized by me, by us, whatever it may be. And then we're talking about it one step at a time, where I will remember the book bird by bird because of what we're talking about. And I'll remember the book that, like True just said about, the perfect day is ordinary. I don't remember all the details from Tuesdays with Maury, but I do remember that reflection because I took time to write it. And then True and I talked about it. That one thing that I can take to go apply to my life, is what matters really at the end of the day. I could go back and reread it and probably find another thing, but I would need to do the same process to find that one thing again that I could go learn and slowly build into my life over time. People could sit there and listen to the Buddha all day long. Like, this is one of the things I struggle with about Buddhism. They just dump so much shit on your head, and you're like, whoa, this is a whole lot to take in with Buddhism. You're talking about self, not self, this thing, that thing, what's suffering, what's whatever, blah, blah. There's just so many concepts in these books you read about it. It just blows my mind. I can't process all that. I need to go bird by bird with what I'm learning. So this journey in a lot of ways is very much bird by bird, and you learn a lot better.
Just because, like I said before, if you're gonna have a lot of things in your head, right? You're gonna get scatterbrained. And when you get scatterbrained, you're not enjoying what you're doing. You're just going through the motion. And like I said before, you wanna live life, right? Don't let life live you, because that's what you're doing. If you live in the future, I guess the robot inside you just doing what it needs to do, and your mind is somewhere else. I mean, you're at work, but you're thinking about, the pool hall or the bowling alley or wherever it is. You escape from the reality.
Yeah, but True, I'm always kind of cautious to say people should do this, or this is how they should live, because also we only have our own subjective experience, and what works for you might actually turn out not work for somebody else for the way that they're wired, and what they hope to get out of
Right.
life.
So that's why we advocate on finding yourself, knowing yourself, and reflecting about what it is that you think that will make you, it's your calling, right? To ask yourself, right? Think about, what it is that's important to you. What are your core values? I'm not asking that you take my core values. And so that, to me, it's a concept of looking from your goggles versus, from a standard point of view.
Awesome. I know you're ready to jump. We'll cut it off there for everybody. Great discussion as always. Thanks for joining us, Snow. And
Yeah, definitely.
We will tune in tomorrow. We'll have our next conversation. The question we can leave with everybody is, what's stopping you from bringing forth what's inside of you to share with the world? Till next time, great discussion, everyone, and thanks for tuning in.
See you.